Episode 2 of the Babysitters Club TV series is Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls. It was an okay episode. I did not like it as much as the previous episode. Initially, I disliked the episode because it's not really based on the book. They have the same title, but it's a completely new, different story, and that made me a little upset. For two reasons. Number one, I like the book. It's a good Halloween scary mystery. I gave it an 8 out of 10 in my review. Number two, this book sort of got cheated by the graphic novel series. They did graphic novels for books 1 through 8, but not this one. They skipped over this one, and I felt that was so unfair to this book, because it's an okay story. And so I was looking forward to actually seeing an adaptation of the book. But it's not really the book. It's a new original story. The story's fine. I was just a little disappointed it wasn't based on the book like the first episode was. So the story is that Claudia likes this boy named Trevor Sanborn. And one thing that this episode improves upon in the book is Trevor. He's better in the episode because in this book, he's just a cute guy. Claudia likes him because he's cute. He's so cute. I love him. Ugh. And that's basically it to their relationship. She likes him because he's cute, and then he never appears in the series again. So in the episode, they have more of a connection. So they both like art. They have that in common. They both reference French things that I've never heard of before. They have that in common too. And they both have overly demanding parents with unrealistic expectations. So they sort of bond over that. They have a lot of things in common. So I like that. And Claudia really wants to go to the dance with him, but she can't go to the dance with him unless she gets a good grade on her math test. So she fails her math test. Stacy doesn't want to go to the dance alone, so Stacy gives Claudia her test and says, "Here, show my test to your parents. Pretend it's yours." And that's what Claudia does, but she has a pang of conscience on the night of the dance and realizes she can't keep lying to her parents because her parents were getting super excited. Yay, she got a 94, woo! Previously, she couldn't even add number 94 to anything without failing. So Claudia tells her parents the truth, and they're disappointed, but they understand, but she's still grounded anyway. I thought it was an okay scene. I feel like it could have been a bit more dramatic. I feel like her parents could have played it up, but I do like her parents. Her parents were good. Grandma Mimi was good. I like the scene with Claudia and Grandma Mimi. That was really nice. I feel like Claudia's parents need to be harsher because that makes a contrast to Grandma Mimi being the only person in Claudia's family who's really nice to her. And I'd make the same argument about Janine. Janine needed to be more angry and emotional, because in this episode she was basically sort of wooden, and she sort of like talked like this the whole time, and it didn't show any emotion. And I think it would have worked better if she was sort of angry, because Claudia and Janine fight with each other all the time. That's what they do. But here she doesn't seem angry with Claudia. She just seems kind of bored by Claudia. So there's another character with kind of wooden acting, and that would be Karen Brewer. So they pick up the storyline that wasn't resolved in the previous episode of Watson and Kristy. So they basically took the segment from the end of book 1 and put it into this episode, episode 2. So Kristy has to babysit Watson's kids for the first time. And Andrew's okay, we didn't get to see much of him. But we saw a lot of Karen, and Karen talked like this the whole time, and she was creepy and evil, and she was giving a funeral for her doll. She was basically acting like Wednesday Addams, and it was creepy. It was a little funny, but I think it was more creepy than funny, actually. And it worked. It worked fine. It just kind of creeped me out a little bit. That's all. Yeah. So Karen was okay, and there was another story taken from a different book. So they sort of took the Marianne Kristy fight from book 4 and put it into this episode. So Marianne says something mean about Kristy's dad, and Kristy gets really mad at her. Marianne tries to apologize, using their secret code with flashlights, but Kristy gets mad and shuts the door. And at the end of the episode, Marianne apologizes and they become friends again. It's okay. And also, Marianne gets in trouble with her dad, so she comes home 20 minutes late from a sitting job, and I feel like that worked better in the book, because in the book, that's part of the fight between Kristy and Marianne. So Kristy makes fun of Marianne because Marianne is a baby. She has a curfew. Ha 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 ha. But that's not at all in the episode, and I felt like that could have been in the episode. It would have worked with the story of Marianne fighting with Kristy. Marianne's dad, I'm not so sure about him. I'm not sure his character fit. So I'll wait until episode 4 when we see more of Mr. Spear, but it's not at all what I expected from him. Because in the books, he's very strict, but he's also really nerdy. He's a huge nerd. The guy alphabetizes his sock drawer, okay? But in the episode, he's just a strict military type. I mean, he looks like an actor who plays military characters in every single thing he's in. So I'm not sure I liked it. I'm not sure that fit pretty well, especially because, Mr. Spear is introduced as this very strict person, but he becomes really super cool and laid back in later books. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There's obviously going to be more of him in episodes 4 and 5. And I think that's it for the episode. I think I talked about... Oh, wait, no. The ending was really good, too. So the ending is a direct lead-in to episode number 3. It ends with Stacy talking to Mrs. Johansson, and that kind of annoyed me, because it's Dr. Johansson in the books. Dr. Peggy Johansson. And now she's Mrs. Johansson? They made it clear that she's a teacher, too, so she's not a doctor anymore. And I'm wondering, well, how is episode 3 going to work now? Because in the book, Dr. Johansson helps Stacy with her diabetes. And that works because she's a doctor. But if she's not a doctor anymore, then how is she going to be the one to help Stacy? Maybe she will be revealed to have diabetes herself, and that's how she helps Stacy? I don't know. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that... Mrs. Johansson tells Stacy about the Babysitters Agency, and that's the main plot of episode number 3. So that was a good note to end this episode on. A big cliffhanger leading directly into episode 3. That was good. That was good. And, oh yeah, I should talk more about the plot of the actual book. So, phantom phone calls, right? So there's a phantom caller who's calling all the people in town. So in the book, he calls houses to see if anybody's home, and if nobody's home, he breaks into the house and robs it. Well, here in the episode, he calls people, and then he keeps calling them, and whenever they answer the phone, he doesn't say anything. He immediately hangs up, and he just calls them again and again. And in the book, the phantom caller ends up being Trevor Sanborn. You know, he wanted to ask Claudia to the dance, but he was too shy. So every time she picked up the phone, he hung up. But that's actually kind of a cute resolution. It's cute. But that's not the case here in the episode. In the episode, the phantom caller was actually Marianne. She was trying to call Kristy, but Dad took away her real phone, and so she called Kristy on this really old, ugly mouse phone. I actually really like the phone part. That was a cute joke. So I know some people said that they couldn't do this storyline for a modern audience because everybody has caller ID. They would know who's calling them. You know how the episode got around that? The phone rang and it said unknown caller. That was perfectly fine. That was a great way of getting around the caller ID problem. I don't think that this book is impossible to adapt for a modern audience because phone technology has been upgraded. No, I think the story could have worked. They could have done a scary Halloween story, but they didn't really. There are only 2 scary moments, and by scary moment, let's just say some part of the episode where they played scary music. So they did that with Karen, and they did that when they were talking about the phantom caller at the beginning. They just did a slow zoom and scary music, and that was good. That was scary. In the book, they had like 4 or 5 chapters which were like that. It was just scary, spooky Halloween stuff. But in the episode, it's just, they do it twice. Once is for a jump scare, and then the second time is sort of as a joke with Karen. I think that's everything I have to say about this episode. It was okay. I was expecting it to be a direct retelling of the books, sort of like the first episode was. But even if it wasn't the story I expected, it was still a good story. I liked the stuff with Trevor, that was good. And they took stories from other books, so the Kristy Watson story from book 1, and then the Marianne Kristy fight from book 4, and then a tiny sliver of the Stacy and Mrs. Johansson story from book 3. They kind of put them together, and that's probably a good idea. It makes it seem like the series has an overarching storyline rather than a series of standalone episodes. So, overall, I'd say it was a good episode, even if I didn't like it as much as the first one.